As we move on with our program, I'd like to welcome our second speaker to the stage, who I happen to have a cool relationship with, knowing him since sophomore year, and like to introduce someone who's going to have another impactful message. Alie Savane. Alie is a dynamic leader, scholar, entrepreneur, and content creator dedicated to medicine, community empowerment, and business innovation. A biology major with a psychology minor at Syracuse University, he balances academics with mentorship, advocacy, and creative expression. A first-generation student from the Bronx, Alie is a mentor to many. He fosters entrepreneurship, leadership, and cultural celebration on campus. His dedication to global health has taken him to Guatemala and the Gambia, shaping his aspiration to combat health disparities as a physician. Alie is also the founder of Bitacola, a health and wellness brand specializing in cola nut-based products, merging West African heritage with modern nutrition. His business has won him competitions hosted by the Syracuse University's Blackstone Launchpad. Beyond academia and business, Alie creates fitness and motivational content inspiring others to build discipline, resilience, and success. Through his work in medicine, leadership, and entrepreneurship, and content creation, he is shaping a legacy of inclusivity, empowerment, and innovation, motivating others to push beyond their limits. His talk, Reclaim Your Narrative, the choice that changes everything, highlights on how we all live within stories, the ones we're told and the ones we tell ourselves, but what happens when those stories limit our potential. Alie, a first-generation college student from the Bronx, knows the weight of those narratives and freedom, and the freedom that comes with rewriting them. In his talk, he'll share his journey of reclaiming the pen and challenging the self-doubt, all the expectations that tried to hold him back. By reshaping the stories we believe, we can transform our lives and inspire others to do the same. This isn't just about personal growth, it's about creating a ripple effect. The stories we choose to live by can spark change in our communities, schools, and workplaces. It all begins with one decision: to reclaim the narrative. Ladies and gentlemen, Alie Savane.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Ryan. So this is dedicated to the people in my life who helped me to reshape my own narrative. Only having one part of the painting doesn't reveal the entire picture. One single narrative can distort realities and send the wrong message, even if it's intentional. When this one story becomes the dominant one, the one that the narrator never gets to tell, it blinds us from the multifariousness of experiences and history. Akin to the African proverb, until the lion learns to write, every story will glorify the hunter. And for some of us, we are the lion that never learned to write. We are the ones who never got the chance to tell their stories. And these stories are written for us before we even get the chance to hold the pen, limiting us, telling us where we belong, what we deserve, and how far we can go. A narrative, as described by the Cambridge Dictionary, is a particular way of explaining or understanding certain events. They are a way of understanding and conveying human experiences. They shape our perspectives, influence our beliefs, and shape our identities. And the creation of narratives is a continuous process. You are always creating some sort of narrative. Now, here's a story that lingers in my heart. I want to walk you through an experience that I've had. So picture this. I'm sitting in a classroom, knees bouncing, watching Bill Nye on the screen. And a man enters with a young boy 2 grades below us, about yay high, pale, scrawny, with a bowl cut. The class goes silent as the man announces that this kid was beat up in the bathroom, describing it as a 4th grader who got punched while he was at the restroom, and they smashed his face into the stall. The kid had a bruise on his face to show. The kid wanders around the classroom as they ask him, "Who did this to you?" The silence remains in the classroom as everybody looks at each other puzzled. I sat thinking, this is wretched. How can anybody do something like this? As I looked around along with the other students. The kid scans the classroom, trembling, trying to find out who did this to him, trying to unveil the perpetrator. And as he looked in my direction, the man came, stood in front of him, and said, "Is it him?" As he approached me. "He seems to be afraid of you, so it must be you." The kid still didn't seem too sure if it was me, and he nodded his head reluctantly. And my heart touched the ground and pounded, and my eyes widened as this man approached me to take me to the principal's office. I walked out, blinking back tears. As I was escorted out the classroom and into the office, I yelped, "No, it wasn't me," as my classmates watched me walk out the classroom, looking down and away. Nobody believed me. I sat in the principal's office in the chair. I'm flared up, my shirt wet from crying, snot running down my nose. And I'm gasping for air as I'm telling them, it honestly was not me. I felt so helpless. My words didn't even matter to them. I felt so ashamed. Is this the image that my classmates will have of me? That I'm the angry and aggressive black kid who beats on kids younger than him? That I'm guilty until proven innocent? Placing a narrative that labels early and listens late, projects fear onto innocence, and forgets that I'm a kid. Now, experiences like these, they didn't just embarrass me. They made me question myself. And I was too young to even put words to it, but I felt it. That heavy feeling in my chest, that shame, that they've determined who I am already. And at home, my mom will come back from parent-teacher conferences crying, not because I wasn't smart, not because I wasn't trying, but because she was tired of hearing the same thing over and over again. Your son is a bad kid. That was the story they told about me. That's the power of a single story. It traps you. It shapes the way that people see you before you even open your mouth. And if you hear that story enough times, you start to believe it yourself. But I stand here today to tell you, I am more than that story, and so are you. Your perception is your reality, and I chose that my reality would not be defined by other people's expectations. How you perceive yourself is so important in shaping academic success and personal growth. As research from Inside Higher Ed notes, narratives shape our identities, justify our experiences, and provide meaning to our experiences. That day in class, a story was written about me, a story that I did not author, but I was forced to live in. And now, how many of us in this room have lived in a version of someone else's story for us? People will have a perception of you that you will either accept or reject. And if you never nip it in the bud, you end up living in a storyline where you're the co-author. You're riding in the passenger seat of your own life. Stanford research shows that when students feel seen and understood, when they belong, they end up performing better when they feel empowered. And I had to create that sense of belonging within myself. I had to rewrite my story. So what I'm here to say is that there is a choice. And how you choose to respond to these events and these labels is pertinent. But first, I need you to understand what is the story that you've been told and what is the story you tell yourself. Fast forward, now I'm at university, a first-generation college student, fresh out of high school, born and raised in the boogie-down Bronx of West African descent, now attending a predominantly white institution. Now, I'm pretty sure you can find some stereotypes that are attached to where I'm from. But now as I shift myself into this space, I can recall walking into a sparsely populated lecture hall with a few students as we wait to ask our professor a few questions. I was next, and I opened my mouth to speak to my professor, and he gestures his index finger and says, "Stop. Ali, give me a moment. I would like to speak to you one-on-one. Sit over here while I speak to the other students." A wave of nausea hits me. My stomach twists into knots, and my mouth goes dry. I hunched my shoulders back as I sat back down, and I tapped my finger on my lap. Oh no, what did I do now? My overthinking mind starts spinning. I begin recapping each day, thinking of what could I possibly have done to get into trouble now. I begin to rub my hands as the other students finish. This feeling was all too familiar for me. It was like being in that principal's office all over again. I walked up and I gulped as he asked me for my major and what I plan on doing with it. And then he proceeds to tell me, "Ali, I think you are a standout person that we need to support on your way to greatness." Sometimes we recognize that some students go unnoticed that we need to keep an eye on. I froze up. I was startled. Huh? Where is this coming from? He continues, "Every year, I get one chance to highlight one student and pass them up to administration. And out of 700 students this year, I'm choosing you." Now I'm feeling a cocktail of emotions as I smile and I thank him for his encouragement and acknowledgement. As someone new to college, these words lit up my world. As I walked home giddily and I noted this in my journal, I noted my experience about how I felt seen, how I felt noticed. My efforts are being recognized. And I released tears of relief, tears of happiness, because he, in addition to the other people in this university, made me feel like I belong. They began to see what I saw in myself without me telling them a thing. My talents were an extension of who I was. There was more than me than the labels that I listed before. Yeah, I'm from the Bronx. Yeah, I'm West African. Yeah, I'm first gen. And none of these things make me less worthy of being here. Matter of fact, they're a part of what makes me unstoppable. These identities don't control me. They molded me. They formed me into this person that I am today. And I didn't get here by chance. I got here by design, through my parents, through my teachers, my mentors, family members, and my friends. Now I'm being celebrated for what made me who I am and not the labels put on me. So, in reclaiming your narrative, you achieve 3 things. 1, you take back what's rightfully yours. You pick up the pen and become the author, not the character in someone else's story. 2, you recognize the power of choice. Every time you rewrite your story, you reaffirm who you really are. And 3, you refuse to let society determine your life. You reject the single story, and you embrace your whole, complex, and powerful self. And at times, we may feel like there is no choice, that these labels are who we are already. And I saw myself as an amazing and talented person destined for greatness, and so did the members in my community who supported me. But it is relative. Being that my parents crossed the seas from West Africa to New York City, the life that we live here is way different from the life that they live over there. So now opportunities seem more abundant to me. And every step that I take, I'm honoring my parents' sacrifice. For them to travel to a new country, start over, and build a better life for their child, I had to make sure that it was worthwhile for them. Show them that their sacrifice was worth it. And indeed, I say it was worth it. I was blessed with the opportunities to travel to the Gambia and Sierra Leone in both 2017 and 2023. My first time going, I was a bit afraid. I was expecting to see what I saw in the media. No food, no water, no electricity, nothing at all. But there was more than that. Where people saw poverty, I saw resilience. I saw gratitude. I saw joy. I got the chance to frame this perspective that was given to me. And now I can tell the narrative with my own voice. So in all, you choose your own narrative. And we need to recognize ourselves as mentors and help others to create their own narratives. But now I ask you, what narrative are you living? Is it the one that you chose? Or is it the one that was handed to you? And to those who support students, what unconscious narratives might you have projected onto these students based on how they look, where they come from, and how they sound? What systems or habits in our institution contribute to labeling certain students as difficult, unmotivated, and not college material? But in all, we have the power to take the pen back. We have the power to choose our own stories, whether we're in the classroom, whether we're at home, whether we're at work, our stories matter, our voices matter. And when we step into that power, we don't just change lives. We create a ripple effect of empowerment that touches everyone around us. So what if it all goes well? It's our choice to make. We are not bound by the single stories that people have for us. Let's own our narratives. Let's write them with courage, authenticity, and pride. Let's take some time to reflect on the narratives that we may have internalized. And when you choose to reclaim your own narrative, you're not just finishing the painting. You're choosing the colors, the brush, and the frame. Thank you for listening.